Independent India travel stores, 1970, 1930. Raju Kulkarni at that point used to tell any one of you BCCI election, which is now this clearly happens to be my favorite anecdote. You guys must see this to believe it. This is the tank stand where Sir Donald Bradman practiced. Look at this. He used to throw a golf ball here and the ball would come back and he would start practicing. This is how Sir Donald Bradman became Sir Donald Bradman. And I'm going to show you something. One of the stumps that Bradman played with. You know, this is one of the stumps that Bradman actually played with. And you have to see how the stump used to look at that point in time. This is a great story. This is the house where Sir Donald Bradman would stay for 15 years, 13 to 15 years, from the age of 3 to the age of 16, and became Sir Donald Bradman. But as I said, the iconic story is this tank stand. The tank stand which allowed Sir Donald Bradman to become Sir Donald Bradman. Many such anecdotes will keep coming your way. This is 52 Shepherd Street. I'll send you a photograph as well for all of you viewers on Sports Girl. Keep watching and keep following me.
I didn't find this house found me. Yeah. And I was working in America at the time in Boston, and my daughters had come back to Australia for school. And cut a long story short, we needed to find somewhere for them to stay and live. And one night I just by accident happened to be going through the National Trust property website, and this house was for sale unrenovated. I spoke to my wife and I said, look, you know, we can hit 3 targets with 1 bullet. We can find somewhere for my daughters to stay and can store their stuff, and somewhere for us to stay when we visited them from America. Secondly, it's a house that needed restoring, and we'd done heritage restorations before. The third, we can do something good for the country and cricket. So, you know, you had all that, you had this rare opportunity to hit 3 targets with 1 bullet. And we didn't go with any taxpayer funding, we did it privately, because that way you're independent, you're not answerable to people and committees telling you how they think you should interpret the house. And it was through meeting people like Jim Maxwell, Gideon Haigh, Norman, other people that are passionate about cricket. It became very obvious to me that there was a deeper project here, and the house sort of evolved into what it is today. So as you see it today, it's been a function, I mean, I'm just simply the humble vessel into which everybody's input came. And I've been very fortunate to meet people who knew a lot about cricket, knew a lot about the history of the local historians, Bernadette Mahoney, wonderful local historian. The information we got from her, we hired a professional historian for 1 year to interview every living person that had lived in this house or had owned it or had memories of it. So we basically sifted and were very discursive about what we were taking on board, and we took all that input, and what you see today is really it's taken 10 years, even though the restoration itself was 3 years, to get the house to where it is now in terms of its furnishings, its contents, the social history narrative, understanding the history of the Bradman family, especially the 3 girls, which I believe were very influential on Don, because they were very high achievers in their own right, academically very, very high achievers, and Don being the youngest of 5 children, I think they helped fuel an ambition and a desire to succeed and excel. You'll see outside Don's bedroom there's a bicycle. It's a replica bicycle of the type that Don would have ridden back in the day. And why do we have a bicycle in this house? Because again, through the local historians and people like Bernadette Mahoney, the area is replete with stories of Don Bradman riding his bicycle up and down the hills, visiting relatives. Don had 60 cousins. His mother, came from a large family. So you don't make 300 runs in a day in a test match without being super aerobically fit. So you do look at it in the sense that you had siblings that were high achievers. I mean, even Vic Bradman himself, he was very successful in politics, local politics, very successful businessman, owned one of the most expensive houses in Barrel on top of the Jib, which was It's a wonderful, wonderful property. Don had all these influences and parents that loved cricket.
Independent India travels to us, 1970, 1932, Raju Kulkarni at that point used to tell any one of you BCCI election, which was